Did you know that millions of people with disabilities rely on assistive technologies to read and interact with digital documents? Creating accessible Word documents isn't just nice to have, it's essential for ensuring everyone can access your content. And, in many organizations, it's becoming a legal requirement. Many Word users create documents without considering accessibility. That makes it difficult or impossible for people with disabilities to access the information. Screen readers, voice recognition software, and other assistive technologies need properly structured documents to work effectively. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create accessible Word documents that everyone can use, regardless of their abilities. Let's start by understanding what makes a document accessible. An accessible document has a logical structure, provides text alternatives for images, uses proper headings and lists, has good color contrast, and includes other features that make it usable by people with various disabilities. Word actually has some great built-in tools to help create accessible documents. Let's go through the key techniques one by one. First, let's talk about document structure. The most important thing you can do is use Word's built-in heading styles for all of your headings. I have a document open here with some unformatted text. Instead of manually making text larger or make it bold for the headings, I'm going to go ahead and select my title, and then I'm going to apply Heading 1 style from the Styles gallery here on the Home tab of the ribbon. For my section headings, I would go through and apply here Heading 2 to be able to get the heading that I want. And for another one, I'll go to Heading 2 again. You can apply up to 9 levels of headings in your document, though in most cases you can get by with just a few levels. Using these built-in heading styles does more than just format your text. It creates a structural hierarchy that screen readers can navigate. Someone using a screen reader can jump directly to specific headings or generate a table of contents, making it much easier to navigate your document. When it comes to graphics, there are two main things that you need to pay attention to. First, you should always place your graphics inline in their own paragraph. This means that you can't have text wrap around the graphic. The reason for this is so that there is no confusion about identifying the graphic internally when your document is converted to a PDF. You can check to make sure that a graphic is inline by right-clicking on it, which displays a drop-down list. And you want to take a look at the Wrap Text option right down here. As long as it shows as inline with text, you're fine. You don't want any of the other wrapping options to be used in your accessible document. The second thing to pay attention to is what is commonly called the alt text for an image. This is a shortened form of alternative text and simply means a textual description of your image. Every image in your document needs a text description for people who can't see the image. Notice that I have an image right here. I know that this one doesn't have any alternative text defined, so I'm going to right-click on the image, and then I'm going to choose View Alt Text. That's the option right down here underneath Wrap Text. I choose View Alt Text, and then at the right side of the screen, I can see the Alt Text task pane. All I need to do is make sure the insertion point is within this box right here, and then type a concise description of what the image shows. Notice how detailed the description is that I've put in here. You don't want to just have a simple description that says, a small dog. You want something that's longer so that somebody who's reading the description gets an idea of what's in the picture. You need to be specific and focus on information that the image conveys, not just what the image looks like. Now note that there's a button within the Alt Text task pane that's labeled Generate alt text for me. You need to resist the urge to click this button, as the results really aren't that great. You can see your image and you know why you included it in the document. The automatic feature represented by this button cannot understand either of those things, so it cannot generate the best alt text. But you can, so you should rely upon your own information as to why you have the image in there. Now, if the image is purely decorative, you can check the Mark as Decorative checkbox, which tells screen readers to skip the image. When you're done setting the alt text, all you have to do is click to close the task pane, and you're back to working in your document. Now let's take a look at tables. Tables can be challenging for screen readers if they're not set up correctly. The key is to keep tables simple and to identify header rows. Notice that I have a simple 3-column table on the screen. The key in the table is to identify the header row. All I have to do is select the very top row of that table, and then I'm going to go over to the Table Layout tab of the ribbon. Notice this tool right over here near the right side. It says Repeat Header Rows. If I choose that, then this particular row in the table is designated by Word as the header row. This not only makes the table more accessible, but it also ensures that the header repeats if the table spans multiple pages. Another important aspect of accessibility is using real lists instead of manually typing numbers or bullets. I have some text here that should be a list. It's quite simple to format it correctly. All I need to do is select the paragraphs that I want to include in the list, and then on the Home tab of the ribbon, I need to use either the Bullets tool or the Numbering tool to be able to specify this as a bulleted list or a numbered list. For instance, I may want this one to be a bulleted list, so all I have to do is click on the Bullets tool, and Word converts those paragraphs into that bulleted list. This creates a proper list structure that screen readers can identify and navigate. Color contrast is another critical factor. Text should have sufficient contrast against its background to be readable by people with low vision. As a general rule, avoid using color as the only way to convey information. You'll notice that the headings that we have on the screen here, they're shown in a blue, but that's not the only way that those headings are designated. They're designated by their size and by the font that's used, as well as the fact that they are formatted using the proper styles for those headings. If you're using colored text, make sure it has good contrast with the background. And if you're using color to highlight important information, add another indicator like the text being bold or placing an icon there. Color is also important in graphics. Earlier, I discussed alt text for graphics, which is great for those who cannot see the graphic at all. Some people, though, can see the graphic but may not be able to understand the graphic because of the size, colors, and contrasts that you've chosen for that graphic. It's a good idea to make sure that your images are of a larger size, of a high resolution, and that your colors and shading provide a good deal of contrast. Let's talk about hyperlinks. Screen reader users often navigate by jumping from link to link, so your link text should make explicit sense. Instead of using anchor text such as click here or read more, use more descriptive text like download the 2025 annual report or visit our contact page. To add a hyperlink with descriptive text, I'm going to go ahead and select the text that I want to use for that hyperlink, and then I'm going to press Control-K. That brings up the Insert Hyperlink dialog box. I can then use the controls in the dialog box to indicate the target for the hyperlink, be it someplace else within the document or some external website on the internet. One more important feature is the document title. Screen readers announce this when opening a document, so it's important to set it. All you need to do is go to File and then click Info at the left side of the screen. Under the properties at the right side of the screen, all I need to do is click on Title right here, and then I can add a title for my document. When I'm done entering the title, all I have to do is get out of the Backstage view, and I'm back to my document. Word has a fantastic tool to check your document's accessibility. It's called, oddly enough, the Accessibility Checker. To use it, I'm going to go to the Review tab of the ribbon, and then I'm going to click on Check Accessibility right here. I can get rid of this message right here, and we can see that the Accessibility Assistant didn't find any issues with this particular document. It all shows accessible like it should be. If there were issues with the document, then the Accessibility Checker would list those errors in this task pane. Helpfully, each issue that it highlights has an explanation as to why that issue matters and how you can fix it. This is incredibly helpful for learning accessibility best practices. When you're done with the Accessibility Checker, all you have to do is close the task pane and you're back to your regular document. Creating accessible documents isn't difficult once you know the basics, and it makes a huge difference for people who rely on assistive technologies. Remember to use proper headings, add alt text to images, create accessible tables with header rows, use real lists, ensure good color contrast, write descriptive link text, and run the Accessibility Checker before sharing your document. By following these practices, you'll create documents that everyone can use, regardless of their abilities, and you'll also end up with more professional, better structured documents that are easier for everyone to navigate. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, you might consider signing up for the free Word Tips newsletter. Information is in the notes just below this video. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me today.